What are you waiting for?
Honestly, I'm glad Titans is back. I enjoyed the mid-season premiere, if you will, a lot more than I did the. Why did you pull them out?
Well, no, they're not pulled out.
How could you?
You're the focus, so you
You
can clip it.
deleted me. You never do that.
You can leave them all there. It's cool.
We can all hear them. So
You can leave them there. But it was really good to see them, back and with a decent 2 episodes. Like not just decent, like I really enjoyed these 2 episodes. It literally when the first episode went off and it was on a cliffhanger, I'm like, wait. I had to think about the fact that they said it's a mid-season premiere with 2 episodes because the way they ended it, like I wanted more.
Sure.
Like that was crazy. Like I knew something was off with this town with what was it calls? What was it called?
I
WandaVision.
didn't write it down.
Yeah, I didn't write it down
I
either.
did not write it down.
WandaVision.
Calls Valley. I think. I wrote it down. Like when I kid you not, my notes for these 2 episodes. I don't think I wrote down the name of it, but my notes are like
The plot of WandaVision.
Good gosh.
I was going crazy.
I wrote like 2 pages. That's it.
Just 2 pages.
I write the bare minimum, man. The bare plot
2
points.
pages is a lot, by the way. He
That's
has
2
a phone.
episodes.
He has
Over
a
2
phone. That's
episodes.
1 page.
1 page each. I didn't write much.
Did you do like 27 lines?
I
or-
skip a line each one.
Oh, you do that.
I literally just wrote down WandaVision. Period. That's all I needed to remember.
I was like, the plot of this story is WandaVision.
But we see them. They go into this town. We hear the the eerily creepy music because like that song was irritating. But I knew it had to be something with the music because it's just the same song playing over and over and over again. And then they go in there, and then the waitress is acting weird. So I'm like, okay, yeah, something's off here. Raven picked up on it first. Then she tells Dick. I noticed Dick only drank the coffee, but of course they put some in the coffee too. It just seemed to it took him longer. It took longer for it to hit him. And I was thinking that, it had something to do with, his training with Batman, conditioning his body, for certain things like that, which makes sense.
Yeah.
So I thoroughly enjoyed that. Everything with the sheriff, them talking about like you can't park an RV in this town. I said, who has a rule like that? I said, Dick, if you don't think something is wrong with that, I said you was a whole detective in Detroit. What town has a rule about not parking RVs anywhere? Like, Chet, correct me if I'm wrong, but I've never, ever heard of that. Like, yeah, you got to park them in certain areas, most likely, but like not park them anywhere at all.
There's overnight rules, but there's not like daytime rules.
It's broad daylight, and they're in the diner. So he gets them the $150 ticket. I was like, okay, yeah, that tracks because they be charging an arm and a leg for these tickets. So that's how I knew something was off with the sheriff. I knew something was off with the sheriff right from the jump. He doesn't have he had a creepy face. Like he just gave off like shady vibes. I'm glad Corey picked up on that.
Vibes of Candace's father.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad. I'm glad that Dick and Corey picked up on that. They're looking for the horn, and throughout this entire episode, like this first episode, when everything was starting to come together, I'm like, this is really, really, really good storytelling. Like, and the stuff with Tim and Bernard, cool. It felt forced to me.
It was forced.
It felt really, really, really forced. Like the only moment that I honestly laughed at was when they were in the hotel. Although, like they spent too much time on that scene, like the unlocking of the door and the and running back. But when he did like the push-ups on the dresser and went to sponge his hair, I laughed at that. But I'm like, bro, we've been on this scene for like 10 minutes.
It was the most like Hallmark scene ever, and I kind of loved it. Like it was so cheesy. They could have cut it, but I really enjoyed it.
So I was like, yeah, but it just felt forced. And like I said on Eric's stream, like I have no problem with them, including the comic book, trying to include like stuff from the comic books. I just feel as if it was forced because some people may say, well, they never established, what his orientation was, or if he was bi or if he was gay, yada yada yada. I get that, but they should have, because now it just feels like boom, this came out of nowhere. Then you have the weird age gap because, like, I honestly remember him being in high school last year, and then now Bernard is clearly at least early to mid 20s, at least. So it feels weird. And then he's talking about I didn't call Bernard because he didn't want me doing this type of stuff. He literally gave you a bow staff, bro. Like, come on. Like, that's where the writing faltered for me. It gave me Allegra Chester vibes. I don't need that. It gave me Jordan Sarah vibes. And y'all know how I feel about the relationships in some of these shows. Like, I'm all for good writing. Lois and Clark, good relationship writing. Barry and Iris, to some instances, especially this season, they've had really, really strong moments. But like the will they, won't they stuff, I get you got to write that in to fill time. But like this, you could have spent more time with Dick and Corey. Like, we didn't see Gar at all. We could have got a flash to where he was. You spent all of that time with them in the hotel room, unlocking doors and leaning back on the bed, and Bernard's literally unpacking his whole work case. I was trying to feel like, what are you doing? Like, Tim is literally panting at the door, and you're just unpacking your stuff for the night and glancing at the door. I'm like, what is going on? I found it. Yes, it was funny at times, but it dragged on. It dragged on a little bit too long. They could have shortened that, and it would have felt better. But by all means, I'm glad that Tim got screen time, especially in the first half when they were like in the car together and they saw the RV disappear. And it's like, I get, like, he just joined, so he's not used to like the weird stuff. Like, of course, he's seen some weird stuff, but when he's seen that, like, his face, Jay is doing a phenomenal job as Tim.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really glad that he got this opportunity to portray this iconic character. I'm glad to see that, he's still with the Titans. He has his place. And even Dick said, you're thinking like a Robin. I like that because he was figuring stuff out. And we all know that Tim is literally like the best, like the detective, like right under Bruce. Like, he's the detective. I don't like how they tried to give that over to Dick with what Connor was doing, because yes, Dick is a detective by profession and he could figure that stuff out. But that line with Lex saying, like, and I get it, Lex doesn't know Tim. So of course the first person he would say give it to is Dick. So, but Dick literally could not figure that out.
Lana and Clark from Smallville is much worse.
I'll agree. But
oh my gosh,
Dick couldn't figure that out. So Tim took the reins. I'm like, this is good comic book writing. Anybody that watches this show and has a problem with Jay Licurgo as Tim, you obviously don't read comics, because that was the most Tim Drake thing that he could have ever done. He used his brain. This is what I've been wanting to see from Tim since he first got introduced. He used his brain, guys. I love that. Now, the stuff with Connor, I get he's having this identity crisis thing, but me personally, I'm kind of tired of it already. Because it's like at the top of the episode, he just walks away. And then we turn back around, he's in Metropolis in a suit, just waiting on Brother Blood. Like, bro, whose side are you on?
Will they, won't they is literally their love story.
I'm like, whose side are you on, bro? Like, Connor, pick a side, stay there. You're pissing your friends off. You're pissing the viewers off, rightfully so, because that's the way it's written. But
yeah.
it's I'm like I knew we were getting this storyline, but if we were gonna get a Connor that's going down the dark, the dark path, they could have, if they wanted to, they could have done some like Superboy Prime stuff with it, do some amalgam stuff. I thought that would have been pretty cool. Like, what you guys think? Like, what was your thoughts on the over? Yes, you're included in my review this week. What was your all's thoughts like on this episode as a whole? Like at least the first half.
He handed it over to us and then shrunk it into him.
Yes, you're included in my interview, and then I go
Talk
like that.
about it. Just kidding.
But let's start with you, Taj. Like, what was your thoughts on like the mid-season premiere? Like as a whole, I rate the episode. As both episodes, I give them like a strong like 7.5, 8 out of 10. In that ballpark.